In Mirrorverse news, submitted by Locked and Loaded, scientists are searching for evidence of a mirror universe.
Yeah, bro. Smoke if you got it.
Mirror universe.
This shit's trippy.
Smoke if you got it.
Stranger Things, like the upside down?
Yeah. Is this expanding upon the parallel universe theory?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So-
yes, the parallel universe theory, of course.
In eastern Tennessee, there's a physicist who's trying to open a portal into a parallel universe.
Why?
But is
A
that
portal?
We're bored.
straight up Stranger Things?
I'm not that bored. What if bad stuff comes out of there?
Or what if good stuff comes out of
Or to
it?
cancer?
See?
Wait, but like, does she have any basis to even think she could do this?
No, she's a quack.
Is she just like drilling?
No, look, she calls it an oscillation, right? Which would lead to mirror matter. But the idea is basically that they're gonna run a series of experiments where they're gonna send a beam of subatomic particles down a 50-foot tunnel, past a powerful magnet and into an impenetrable wall. And if the setup is just right and they do it exactly the way that they're planning on doing it, some of these particles are going to transform into what are called mirror image versions of themselves.
How do they find that out though? Like, how do
She
they
watched
know?
Stranger Things.
I don't fucking know.
But like, how?
So they did these prior experiments where they were calculating, I guess, the lifetime of these neutrons, and sometimes they just disappear out of nowhere.
I know that's as far as I go.
Yeah, and so they're like,
That's
if
it.
they're like, wait, how can they disappear? So where the hell did they go if it's in such a contained space? So if they're gonna send it down this impenetrable wall, that's why this is so important. If this wall is impenetrable and they recount the neutrons, if they do disappear, they went somewhere. Maybe the mirror universe.
Shit.
It's like you're jerking off and you come,
Yeah.
right? But then some of your cum is gone. And you're like, where did it go?
It evaporated? No? That's
But for years, everyone's been like, wait, where does the cum go? Like, not all the cum is still here.
For years,
hear a
people have been
fart.
wondering this?
Yeah.
You hear a fart and you don't smell it and you're like, where'd the fart go?
See?
Mirror universe.
Where did it go?
It disappeared into the ether.
I just keep thinking of Doctor Strange in like Marvel universe.
It is like that. So that's the theory behind it, right? So these particles, in a lot of what we understand so far, we don't understand where they go or what they do. Like a lot of current theory in physics is super strange. Like when you get to the subatomic level, particles just exist and then stop existing and then go away.
Yeah.
And the idea behind this is maybe they're not going away per se, they're going into another alternate universe that exists in parallel to our own.
And then what's next? We're gonna shoot humans at this impenetrable wall to see if they can go into this universe.
Actually, yes, we're gonna shoot small people.
They could fit in the cannon.
Yeah, start with the small ones and get bigger and bigger.
I'm literally talking about Ant-Man right now.
That's exactly
Like,
right.
if we find out that, yeah, these neutrons are disappearing and going into this universe, that is not good news. These neutrons are so small.
But what if we could open a portal? That's almost like what's happening here is like it's almost like you're opening a portal into it by shooting this beam at this wall. You're sending these particles into that universe.
When does this happen? It only happens in these circumstances? Or I guess
Well, we don't really know.
Or a question for that lady, because I'm like, how did you know this was even, like, when is it that they disappear?
So a bunch of other experiments that weren't based off this, when they started figuring out that neutrons have been disappearing, is when they're like, wait, what the fuck? So usually I think they would consider most under physical rules, like where the possibility where they can go. But because it's been happening so much, they're like, okay, we got to consider some things we haven't been considering before that's outside of the physics that we understand.
Like in the 1990s, they developed this high precision experiment to study how neutrons, which are part of the nuclei of atoms, right? They break down into protons, which is related to radioactivity. But then the experiments got weird because they found that the neutrons created in particle beams, which are similar to the ones that we're talking about right now, they last 14 minutes and 48 seconds on average before decaying into protons. But neutrons stored in a laboratory bottle seem to break down faster, 14 minutes, 38 seconds, so a 10-second difference.
Which is a lot.
And that doesn't sound like a lot, right? But the difference should be nothing because all neutrons are exactly the same and their behavior should not depend at all on where they're being examined.
And one of the base for the simulation theory, where like we're living in a simulation, is that they would shoot these, was it protons or neutrons?
Neutrons.
Into a wall. Or with something that's blocking it, or screen, right? So when it's not being observed, it's like at random, and then when it is being observed, it's directly into a straight line. So they're saying like human observation has something to do with the way that they activate.
How do they know they're being observed?
They see you.
When we are observing these subatomic particles, they for some reason show up, and then when we stop observing them, they disappear.
like a video
How do
game.
they know then that they're not?
Well, I don't know how they know, but it's like a video game where, like, you know, as you're going through like the world, right, things pop up and all these things are created, and then when you're not there, that area of the game is resting.
Literally, if you turn around in a video game,
Crazy.
all the things behind you just broke down so that they can power what's in front of you.
Curious
It's like the
how you know
Matrix.
that it's not there. It kind of reminds me of that one movie where the guy could only turn invisible when no one's looking at him. But then how do you know he's fucking invisible? Like, how do you know that?
Isn't that like with colors? Colors only are only a color when you shine light on them. So if a bathroom's painted orange, when the lights are off, the walls aren't orange.
Yeah.
Black, yeah.
Yeah.
So you need the light in order for it to
blowing
bring
my
the
mind.
colors out.
I still think they're orange, but I agree with you.
Yeah, so color isn't an intrinsic thing to the matter you're looking at. It's just a reflection of the spectrum of light that's being shined on it.
And then the color can change depending on the light.
So back to what's called a mirror universe, right? Like 10 years ago, this guy in Russia introduced the idea that ordinary neutrons sometimes cross over into what's called a mirror world and transform into mirror neutrons, right?
What made him think that?
He was
Lots of weed, probably.
yeah. He
I
was,
feel high listening to this story.
No, I'm like, is this real life?
Hurting my brain.
They go, you know what I think?
Yeah.
I think there's people on the other side here.
and then people were like, "Wow, well, he seems smart. Let's put $1 billion into the research."
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Elizabeth Holmes. That's how she got funding.
Is that right?
I don't know.
I didn't know.
I think so.
This is why I don't think the government's not telling us about aliens and shit, because my brain can't handle this right now.
You're going through overload right now.
The government is
Now
helping
imagine-
us. Is like just make it so we don't have to think about
That
it.
whole orange and the black and that fucking blew my mind. Is that for real?
Now imagine world religions being challenged because of it, right? Like we were made in God's image.
Yeah.
That goes away if alien life exists.
So what is Mirror God? What does Mirror God look like?
He looks like you.
Oh my God, you're a god.
Anyway, it's like Alanis Morissette in that movie Dogma. She was God.
No. Whoever's looking at him, he looks like them. I think the mirror.
Forgot that.
I watched that movie.
It's just you're looking at a mirror.
Damn, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So there's another theory too that dark matter, which we don't really understand at all, but we know that it comprises a huge percentage of what the universe is actually made out of, right? Another theory is that dark matter is actually an alternate universe that's just around us and that we can't
Give me
access.
the log line on dark matter.
Dark matter is it has its own gravitational pull to it.
Where
In
is
between space.
And it's around everything. It's around everything. So like around the Earth right now, it's almost like a big spider's web that shoots out all around the entire universe, and it sort of keeps everything moving together. Like you know how we move in orbit with all the planets of the solar system. Dark matter seems to be some kind of gigantic spider web that keeps everything kind of congealed.
It's an immeasurable matter. So like I think like with electromagnetic equipment, like gravity even bends light in space, right? But it's with dark matter because it doesn't bend light, so you can't really tell that there's something there. But with their calculations of all these astral bodies, of the way the gravitational forces that they do have, all these planets and stars should be shooting away from each other because of the gravitational force, but there is something that is preventing them from shooting away from each other, and they're calling that dark matter.
And it's often depicted.
Even though they can't measure
It's
it.
often depicted as like a big dark spider web.
I think the easiest way to maybe explain is the negative space between me and you.
I was
Or
about to
the-
ask that.
or
Is
the-
there-
it's
is there
just
dark
in
matter
between the
here?
planet.
Or
It's
there
everywhere.
isn't because
All
of
around.
oxygen.
Yeah. No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's like atoms.
Right.
If I say that, people are gonna kill me. But it's like, if I try to break it down into layman's, I think it's the in-between space of the emptiness. So it's the empty.
If it's there.
Yeah, if it's there. If it's where there is a lot of evidence.
Because it's just all theory that dark matter exists.
That's correct.
If there's two planets that through their calculations should be flying away from each other, but for some reason it's held there, then they're like, let's say if you had two magnets, right? If it's both south poles pointing at each other, they should fly away from each other. But for some reason it's staying there. Then from them they're like, oh shit, there's probably dark matter there because there's something that's overriding that gravitational force.
Wait, isn't it the advancement of Newton's theory on gravity, where he believed that gravity was from the mass, and then dark matter is like this next level of what gravity is?
I don't know, but I know all matter has its own gravitational force.
Okay, well I'm not.
All matter?
All matter, yeah. No matter how small, how big, but the bigger.
Are gases considered matter?
Yes.
So that's
It's just a very like airy matter.
Okay, so then the whole, like, the thing that we don't have dark matter here then because there are gases in the atmosphere?
They are saying that the dark matter is out in the space. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because here, like, everything can be dictated by common physics. Like, I can predict if you're to run towards me, how much wind that's gonna push to the side, how the leaves are gonna bend. Like, we can calculate all those things. The things that are define their physical calculations in the universe, they use dark matter as a way to kind of explain that. Like, why aren't these things flying away from each other?
Well, I don't understand the mirror. Why we think it's a mirror. Why isn't it just another? Why do they think the neutrons are disappearing into a mirror universe, not just another cooler universe?
Or like, what if it just
Why mirror?
disappears?
That is what you just described is right? Like it goes to maybe a better universe or a worse universe, but that is a mirror universe, right?
Because it's still here?
Because it's still a depiction of our reality, but that is slightly different.
And they don't call it a different dimension; they call it a mirror, which is kind
What's
of
the difference
confusing me.
between a dimension then? And like a parallel universe? Like what?
I don't know.
I don't know about.
But I exist in the mirror universe.
I think so. I think you're a brunette though.
I'm a brunette in this universe. Don't tell
Oh, my bad.
anyone.
I think maybe you're a blonde over there then.
Oh, cool.
Lucky you.
Let's go there.
What if there's another mirror universe where I'm actually sitting there, and you're sitting there, and you're sitting there? Oh wow!
Right?
Is this like
Crazy.
these are things that we need to know? Like we're spending all
wanna
these
know.
resources to find
I
out.
can't handle
I
it.
wanna
If
know.
in another universe, Joe's sitting over there.
I know, right?
I want to know that.
Let's put our brain power
That's
towards
why,
better
like,
things.
4 videos ago, I said I think we're already way too smart than we need to be.
But imagine all the things that we maybe will discover through this sort of.
Yeah, true. Maybe the cure for cancer is over there.
The cure for cancer is for sure here.
Or maybe through this we'll find some really cool foot cream that we didn't know.
Yeah.